let's do some mailbag talk.
All right, here we go. What are the most intriguing position battles that you're watching during fall camp?
I think for me on offense, running back jumps out to me just how it's going to shake out. Is it truly Anthony Grant? Is it Gabe Ervin, who was the 2021 starter, or even Ramir Johnson? Like, what will that look like with that group? And then on defense, I'm really intrigued at linebacker. John Bullock, has he done enough to maybe win a job? Where's Nick Henrich at in the discussion coming off a major knee injury?
Coming off a major knee injury in a different style of defense that asks different things from its middle linebackers, where speed is now more of an emphasis than ever. I don't knock on Nick. I just don't know if that's his strength, especially compared to an athlete like John Bullock. And when you have Matt Rule going on the radio and saying that John Bullock has NFL potential, that catches your attention. And for me, that changed that entire conversation, where you pair that with MJ Sherman looking like a team captain coming out of spring ball, and now the rise of John Bullock, that inside linebacker position could look a lot different this fall.
Yeah, or they could just have a nice rotation.
They're going to play a lot of guys.
Yeah, and I think Henrich he'll be part of this. Will he be a starter? I don't know. And you're right. The speed element is the thing to watch with. I mean, Henrich has been hurt a lot. And what coaches would tell you off the record is a lot of it's because he's a little undersized, not that fast. So he has to strain a lot. There's a lot of strain. Everything he does is pretty difficult. And that can lead to injuries.
Yeah, he plays so many snaps.
That too.
He's been on the field a lot the last 2 years. Win healthy.
Reimer's undersized as well, but he is fast. You don't question his speed.
All right, which incoming freshman position group will provide the biggest impact, and which position group needs their freshmen to make the biggest impact?
You know this one. It's the rushers, Prince Will and the kid from out east.
I mean, there's potential starters.
Help me out with Sean, the kid out east, Cam Lenhart.
Yeah. I mean, then even Maverick Noonan.
Yeah, mainly
Prince Noonan's going to play, though.
Yeah, mainly Prince Well and Cam Lenhart.
They could be potential black shirts. Yeah. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. That's a good question. True freshman in that spot.
It's a two-sided conversation.
Right. See, you got to do this thing where you get out of the bubble. Don't say, oh, this is what they look like in the spring game.
If you were a Colorado writer calling a Nebraska writer about spring ball, and you're talking about two true freshmen potentially starting at the edge
in the Big Ten against the tackles that you see, against the tackles you see in this league.
Yeah,
I mean that those are grown men.
Yep,
and they're usually really good.
Yeah. These guys are good, but they're not like Bosa's. They're not going to come in and be like 5-star, hit the ground running freshman All-American.
Right.
Like could be, but you don't project that right now.
But I think they are going to be impacting guys.
Yeah. They look great this spring. Oh, wide receiver too, probably. I mean, I know
maybe
they got some.
One guy could come out.
Yeah, but just given the volume of that freshman class, the odds would suggest one of them could work their way into the rotation.
Receivers,
especially if some of those veteran guys, for whatever reason, don't pan out.
I mean, I got to think that would be Malachi Coleman or Jaden.
They seem like the front runners.
Yeah.
What do you got next?
How do you see the Huskers softball team doing in Stillwater this weekend?
Tough draw. They're 0-4 against Wichita State and Oklahoma State. As you know, Oklahoma State, they're one of the top programs in the country. I covered softball many years ago. I covered the team that went to the College World Series.
What year was that?
It would have been 2002.
Is that the Peaches James?
Yeah, Amanda Buckholz was a good player on that team. There were some good players. I mean, Jennifer Lozama was a good player for Ronda Revelle back then. They were a powerhouse. I mean, they were a top 15 type team in those days. I covered really I did play-by-play for I was like Nate Rohr before Nate Rohr. KRNU, the student radio, was the affiliate for softball. The radio network wasn't carrying the games. And so I would do a lot of games.
I'll be darned.
A funny story calling softball games. My play-by-play, this is typical for like student radio. The guy I was supposed to do the game with didn't show up.
No show.
And so I was at the Daily Nebraskan, and Sam McEwen was with me working as a sports editor. Told him what happened, and Sam just said, "I'll call it with you." So Sam and I called a softball game.
That is unbelievable.
It was a great call. I'll bet
it was.
Like,
I'm not kidding.
It was a great call. Yeah. Like we had a lot of fun doing it. I'm sure Sam remembers it too.
That's fascinating, Sean. It's a good story. Thank you.
What do you got next, Abby?
Which Big Ten West team gained the most from the transfer portal, and who lost the most?
That's a tough one.
Iowa gained the most. I mean, you got
What about Wisconsin?
yeah.
Well, go Iowa first, Rob.
Well, McNamara first and foremost, and then the tight end and the
Eric
receiver.
All.
Yeah, and so I mean, they got in theory 3 important starters on offense. When you pair that with everything that you expect the defense to be good, you expect your special teams to be as good as any in the country. Their offense can be just good enough. Iowa's the clear favorite in the West. So I think just with the additions they needed to make, they did it. They checked almost every box.
I think Wisconsin, though, with what they added under Luke Fickell, it was a pretty impressive haul. I mean, it's going to be a different looking team.
But they had to,
They
given the total identity shift that they did.
guys, Nebraska got 5 starters. Maybe
Yeah,
from the
Nebraska's
portal.
in that conversation too.
Billy Kemp, Jeff Sims. I mean, you could argue, and MJ Sherman's going to be a starter. That you can
That's
look.
3. Who are the other 2?
Now I'm blanking on the names. I shared them in the chat. MJ Sherman, Billy Kemp, one of the tight end. I mean, you could argue the tight end could be a starter.
Perhaps Eric Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Scott.
Ben Scott.
Scott.
Yeah,
Jeff
Ben
Sims.
Scott.
Yeah.
So you got 3 on offense, and then Elijah Judy on defense. Elijah
Judy's
Judy,
going to start.
like, if not start, play.
Oh, he'll start. He looked good in the spring game. I like that. I liked what Judy looked.
And now we know. I mean, there were some impacts why Stephon Wynn left.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was down to probably 5 to 10 snaps a game is what you're looking at with Stephon Wynn. Yeah, Judy came in and established himself. He looked better than Wynn to me. Moved better, more active, more athletic. And that's hence Wynn's departure, I think.
All right, what do you got next?
All right, we've had a lot of questions about this one. So what is the latest on Arik Gilbert's waiver? Have you guys heard anything?
I feel like anytime you bring it up with Matt Rule, it's almost like a non-starter. It's just like, nope.
No update.
Like,
Which is what he said in his last radio appearance
And-
on the Husker Sports Network
How long
last
ago?
week.
Last week.
Yeah, they were asked specifically about it. He said no update, and that was the update. Was that there was no update. So to be determined.
That's it.
so that's what we got. What do you got next, Abby?
Are we ready for our last one yet? It's a talker.
Okay, yeah, final question.
Okay.
We better give it some time.
Top 3 places you would want to see a college football
Mhm.
game that you have not been to yet.
Well, and to be fair, Robin and I have been to every Big 10 and every Big 12 stadium. And we've been to
A lot of Pac-12.
a lot of Pac-12s already. And we've been to only 3 ACCs, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and
Miami.
Miami, right? So we've been to Notre Dame. So like
I have not, so they would be in my top 3.
I think just going to Alabama and Florida.
Yeah.
Those,
LSU at night.
I mean,
So concentrate on the SEC,
Yeah.
basically.
I haven't been to any SEC venue, so just pick one.
Nebraska hasn't played SEC non-conference games since like the 80s.
Right.
There was a little run where they would play like South Carolina and Auburn. You know, they had Florida State for a little while in the 80s. Back when your non-conference schedule was like all Power 5 teams.
God, yeah. Where would you want to go? I mean, besides the obvious ones, like LSU's obvious, I'd want to go there.
Yeah.
I'd want to go between the hedges. I'd love to see between the hedges live, what that looks like.
What about it like at Army or Navy?
Yeah.
Seeing Nebraska
Robin
play?
had that in his answer today in the chat,
Mhm.
and I get that. I wouldn't want to go because of the weather. I just want to be in warmth. So
You just want to go to El Paso.
I'd go to Tucson, for instance. I'd be
We're
interested. to go-
going to Tucson. Hey, Tennessee's up there for me.
Going to Tucson?
Nebraska plays in Tucson down the road.
Oh
What year?
God,
Do you know what year?
that's right. They do. You're right.
Yeah, it's coming up in the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. I've never been to Tucson.
So you'll be working for me still then.
I hope so.
God
I'll
willing.
make a Mexican restaurant reservation right now.
Come challenge him. He'll do it.
4 years out.
2027.
He's got the rooms
As
booked.
long as you promise not to order the top shelf margarita.
Yeah.
We were in Indianapolis.
No,
I'm like, I'll get you a drink. And
Yeah.
he orders a $25 margarita. I'm like,
I
simple.
get the $28 mezcal smoky margarita.
It was like $25. I'm like, what are you?
Was it worth
ordering?
it?
Anyway, Tucson would be a good place to go.
So they play in Lincoln in 28. I believe it's supposed to probably 29.
Oh
They
yeah,
go out
we'll be
there.
working.
28.
Yeah, we'll be
Tennessee.
thriving.
We got Tennessee. And The game I'm really intrigued in is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
In 2025,
Mhm.
Nebraska's supposed to go there, but the game that was in Lincoln, the 2020 game, got canceled, the COVID.
Okay.
So to me, it's like a window to move that game to neutral site.
Oh yeah, and you're saying Vegas.
Vegas, but now with Matt Rule, maybe he'll want to play a game in Dallas,
Okay.
Mhm.
Houston.
So just for a correction, the Arizona game in Tucson is 2031. You're gonna have to hold on for a couple
Oh
more
my
years.
God.
51.
Jiminy Christmas. When you put it that
Can you
way,
imagine?
yeah. Just
We'll
hold in
be-
there.
we will be here, but we'll be on a spaceship, but we'll be here.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
God
We'll,
only
we'll
knows.
teleport.
Abby, where do you want to go?
Well, I
Yeah, where
haven't
do you want to go?
I haven't been a ton of places, so I would love to see the Penn State whiteout game.
Yeah.
That would
Oh,
be
boy.
awesome. Ohio State and Michigan in either place.
Okay.
And
Those are
also just the Rose Bowl. It's
Yeah.
a classic.
Oh God, yeah.
Rose
you
Bowl
do.
was a real deal.
Yeah, Rose Bowl. That would probably maybe should top your list. Actually,
Going to
I'll
the
move it
old
up.
Cotton Bowl Stadium,
you like that, don't you?
that was cool, wasn't it?
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. It was.
It was.
No
Just the
doubt.
nostalgia, the
The
history,
nostalgia,
seeing
yeah.
The
just
fair was there.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know, they had
just,
the fair going.
it was like a 9 a.m. kickoff, but
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that was. You're right. That was pretty cool, actually.
It was.
God, it seems like a long time
It
ago.
does.
Though.
06.
Oh, that was a long time.
I mean, yes, it was 20 years ago.
I went to a Cowboys game and a Suns Mavericks game on that trip. It was all covered by the Cotton Bowl.
One of the best
Really?
bowl games ever.
And my dad went with me. He went with me to those games, and he went to the NHL hockey game too. I mean, they like the media gets like just VIP treatment. at the
Stretch
Cotton Bowl.
limo car service from the media hotel to the Cowboys game that dropped you off right in front of your gate.
That's amazing. I
It was
remember
so
that.
over the top for a bunch of just like sloppy sports writers
Yeah.
showing up pulling out of this.
What I remember was the media day, how great it was for the bowl game. Like they just had all 100 players from Nebraska or whatever it was in their jerseys.
Yeah, it was like Super Bowl media.
And they're
day.
like, you got an hour, guys. Just go out here. And I mean, it was like just going on a hunting trip and the birds were just laying out everywhere.
analogy.
I mean,
There was, and
you're
that was
like,
a good
whoa,
metaphor,
whoa.
whatever you wanna
There's
call
a, I mean, and
a
like
non-dating
at
analogy.
that time, like freshmen were off limits, but not at Cotton Bowl Media Day. I mean,
Right.
like you could just go up to anyone you wanted.
Right, I
And,
remember that.
and just, I don't know, that was a fun bowl game for me. And now it's in the new Cowboy Stadium, which is obviously awesome too.
Yeah, it's just nice to hear you talk about bowl games.
I know.
I mean, it's got to happen again here.
You
pretty
see the
soon.
early projection. You should probably say this is the Vegas Bowl. So like that's I think it was
Yeah.
Brett McMurphy.
Brett
or whatever,
McMurphy of the Action Network
Action
paired,
Network.
paired Nebraska against Utah,
Which the line would be
11,
Nebraska plus 11.
Utah by 11, whatever. It'd be
Whatever.
yeah.
Let's go to Vegas for a week.
That wouldn't be
We
bad.
figure out how to cover that game, guys.
we would find a way.